/AskReddit by Reddit. Bullies of Reddit, why were you a bully in school? So I just recently found out that a kid who I thought my group of friends was friends with, seriously, we hung out sometimes, went to each other's graduation parties, sometimes ate lunch together, were partners for school projects, chatted in the halls, thought of us as bullies to him. The catalyst event that we saw as him becoming our friend, he saw as bullying. Basically, we noticed one day that he kind of looked like Vanilla Ice. On the same day he was wearing a Ice t-shirt with a zip-up hoodie, so it actually looked as if his shirt said Ice, which we thought was awesome, and we thought it was awesome, and made kind of a big deal about telling him, and sometimes referred to him as Ice the rest of the time we knew him, though certainly not every time we saw him or anything. I guess I can now see how he might not have appreciated the attention and not known how to tell us that, but we honestly never realized how he felt. I'm still trying to figure out how to apologize. We never see him anymore and basically lost contact after he went to college. This is a huge deal in our society now. I've known a lot of bullies. I work with kids and most of them are great people who just honestly don't realize what they're doing. Comes off as mean and aggressive. Yeah, there are people out there who are just annoying. But for a lot of bullies it is just that no one ever taught them appropriate boundaries and good communication skills as kids. And as they get older these bad/aggressive communication skills often just get worse. At home my parents were constantly fighting. Instead of learning friendship and love, I learned anger and resentment. I brought that to school with me. Since I was bigger than average I could shove the other kids around and there wasn't much they could do about it. I enjoyed it. It was a sadistic power trip. When you're big for your age as a child it's a huge advantage. I think as you get into adulthood the playing field evens out a bit more. But back then I could do whatever I wanted and nobody short of an adult could stop me. Power like that goes to your head. Doubly so when you're just a kid. Settled down for story time. So there was this girl in my school named Anna. She had FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome, and was adopted from Russia. She came to my school when I was in 3rd grade. She was in my class. We were best friends all year. I will never understand why, but the summer between 3rd and 4th grade something changed. Anna became a target for bullying at our school. This went way beyond the normal odd man out situation, and every single student participated in the bullying. If you accidentally bumped into Anna, you contracted her cooties and had to brush them off and give them to another person. You couldn't sit next to her. You couldn't talk to her. You couldn't interact with her at all without getting made fun of for it. It was the worst form of bullying I have ever witnessed. Every single kid in that school picked on Anna with no exception. I wouldn't be friends with her anymore because I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be associated with the negative image that surrounded her. So my first day of 4th grade, when Anna comes running up to me all excited to share her stories of what happened over the summer, I pushed her down and screamed at her to stay away from me. I will never stop feeling ashamed for what I did. Anna never lived down this bullying. It followed her from 4th grade through high school. As a result of it, she did develop some pretty ducked up problems. She became a pathological liar and did a lot of really messed up stuff that doesn't need to be repeated. Kids eventually stopped isolating her so severely, but she never had friends. She was still targeted and ostracized. She considered my sister and I to be her best friends, but even we were cruel to her and ignored her. All this poor girl wanted was some goddamn comfort and a companion. Fast forward to the summer between my junior and senior year of high school. Anna was going in for heart surgery for her FAS. Things got complicated, and on June 13th, my birthday, Anna passed away. I heard about it through a friend and her first concern was, but, I mean, we are like still gonna party for your birthday, right? It's not a big deal or anything. I was disgusted. It felt like someone had sucked the air out of my chest. I couldn't stop thinking of how I rejected her plea for friendship and how I had contributed to the suffering of this innocent person. My senior year of high school starts. Keep in mind here that my high school had 172 total. The death of a student in my high school rocked the community violently. We had a student commit suicide the previous year and the entire community shut down for a whole week. Anyway, after summer, we came back to school and nothing happened. No memorial for Anna. There was a memorial for the suicide victim. No mention of her name. Just an empty locker collecting dust where Anna's name used to hang. This absolutely enraged me. Even after her death, nobody could stop and spare a thought for Anna. Her name was still poison to some people. I was outraged. So my sister, a mutual friend, and myself decided to raise money and buy a memorial for her by ourselves. We had bake sales every week all school year, sold t-shirts, advertised for donations, and all this accumulated in a big show we put on at the end of the year. Thousands of people showed up to support us in raising money for Anna's memorial. We made over $5,000 and turned it over to Anna's parents with the understanding that they would put $2,500 down for a memorial bench to be erected at the school and $2,500 towards a scholarship in Anna's name. Her parents squandered the money on a new car instead. I don't know. Recounting this for the first time since high school, I'm in tears. Yet I digress. Long story short, why did I contribute to the bullying? I was pathetic. I honestly never realized how mean I was in school until years later. I wanted people to think I was funny. I never meant to hurt the feelings of those I bullied. I thought they all took it as a great joke. A few times, when my friends pointed out how mean I was being, I stopped. Maybe this isn't true of all bullies, but man, I'm glad people pointed my bullying out to me. As a spokesman for all the clueless bullies, we are sorry. Edit. Okay, I've tried to edit this a couple times to say this, so I hope this works. A lot of people who are still in high school have commented that their bully MO is the same as mine. Please act on this realization. Apologize to the people you've hurt. They won't all accept, but it will still help improve the world in a real way. Get your friends to point it out to you when it happens, and don't defend yourself when they do. And stop worrying so much about being funny. Try not speaking, unless you're spoken to for a couple of days. You will probably end up being respected more than you are now, instead of constantly chasing respect by making jokes 1,000 times a day. Every single person in the situation will be better off for your efforts. I was a pretty sociopathic mother ducker in middle school. I remember I picked on one kid, and one kid only. Let's call him Robert. This kid would always flip the duck out in the most hilarious ways when you messed with him. So I would always duck with Robert to induce this reaction. So this went on for just about all of middle school. I would just do little things to him like steal the lock to his gym locker, or take his backpack, and start a game of monkey in the middle. One day, I hit him with an uncapped highlighter, completely on accident this time. Me and my friends were throwing it around and it just happened to hit him. Next thing I know, in the midst of me apologizing, he goes apeshit and starts throwing whirlwind drunk girl punches at me. I just kind of sat there and took it. He was a scrawny kid, so it didn't really hurt. I didn't mess with him again after that day, because for the first time, I actually felt bad about it. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that I did it because it was funny and it amused me. The minute it stopped being funny, I stopped what I was doing. TL. Doctor, for the lulz. My family was pretty messed up, and that doesn't do any good for a kid growing up in it. When you don't grow up liking or caring about your family or yourself, there's little catalyst for an angry kid to do so for others. Beyond that, I grew up in the 80s/90s when bullying was just a thing. Seeing it on television and in movies, it was just the way things were. Poo flows down. I got picked on by cooler/tougher kids, and I picked on kids less cool and weaker than me. I never thought much about it. There were no school shootings or sass about it back then. I was already pretty numb from home life, so I never considered others taking it worse than I did. Mostly I was just an angry, unhappy kid. You don't realize it when you're that young. It just seems like a funny thing to do. I don't think most kids can grasp or even think about the larger consequences. At least I didn't. Obviously I regret it all now. If I could go back and leave everyone alone, I would. Can't change the past though, so I just do my best to be a decent person as an adult. It happened in elementary. I was the biggest kid, fat/tall wise, and all I wanted was to play basketball with all the other kids, but they would never let me play because I was practically sweating mayo. I kept telling on them, so they would let me play. Then one day a friend was calling me into the bathroom. I was in line for lunch and didn't wanna lose my spot, so I didn't go. Next thing I see is him go in the bathroom and come out with all the people that didn't like me. Apparently I was going to be jumped by kids in elementary. That's around the time I realized I was bigger than everyone else and that I could take on anyone that would say things about me. So I started to bully kids and it started working great. I played basketball and nobody really messed with me. Problem was nobody wanted to really talk to me either. Started spending lunch alone and it sort of destroyed my social life. Then I turned things around in high school. I always thought of myself as a pretty funny guy. I decided to not be a bully and give myself a new image, making people like you is a lot harder than making them fear you. But I wasn't alone anymore. And I started watching out for the little guy. By this time I hated bullies. Partly because I hated myself for doing the same thing, I would go out of my way to bully the bullies. I've been in fights with guys twice my size for being dicks to the skinny small kids. All I wanted to do was play basketball. In elementary, was that too much to ask? Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comment section below.